Some of the really best models for sustainability and building sustainable green architecture is actually not building new architecture at all. I think a great example is occurring over the last 10 years in Lower Manhattan, where sort of faced with this problem of a whole series of old office buildings that no longer worked and really were acceptable sort of for modern office standards. A conscious decision to start to transform a lot of these old buildings into residences. And so while the transformation of Lower Manhattan to include residential starts with this high-end residential that caters to the people who work perhaps in this case on Wall Street, it's an evolutive process. So by now it's really starting to include families and really becoming a rich residential area. As the residents start to move in, slowly over time there starts to become a demand for new green spaces. One of the new little parks, this is up on 55 Water Street, and it's called the Elevated Acre. Of course, while I'm down in the Wall Street area, it's a really great opportunity to look at this relationship of buildings and natural light. In 1916, in response to sort of canyon-like quality of Wall Street, the laws were changed so there had to be setbacks. While a lot of these older buildings came straight down onto the street, they always had long slots in them to bring natural light into the offices. And often they look like letters of the alphabet seen from above in the E or an H. If I pan down and hopefully you can see down the World Financial Center way down there, those are really deep, fat, thick buildings that don't get light to the center of the building. They rely on artificial light and rely on artificial ventilation. So they need electricity to make the building work, or right adjacent to it, this tall tower that, while it's relatively skinny, doesn't have operable windows, and as you get deeper into the center of the building. So while New York City Building Code currently requires a certain amount of natural ventilation in offices, it doesn't have a requirement for natural light. And to make the changes that start to match some of the European standards actually would have radical effects on the design of buildings, because the thickness or thinness of building to make this work would really change. You can't have really squat, thick buildings because you can't get light into the depth of them. You can't get natural ventilation. So it would be a radical change, and change in how buildings are used, and actually almost a return to some of, I think you showed some of the skinny buildings.
These little pieces of cake piled up against one another,
which of course are ideal for getting natural light and ventilation.